are back in my grandfather's chicken coop. I took these coamings off from little girl, my seafarer kestrel, way back on February 18th, 4 months ago. And now here we are finally, after truckloads of stripping and sanding, stripping, bleaching, sanding, more sanding. I took these silly things off on February 18th. And anyway, right now it is June the 22nd. And finally, here, let's do this. Finally, after all this time, this is now the second coat on the inside, or backside, I should say, of my coamings. But anyway, oh my goodness, the amount of work. You notice here, by the way, that I put a light right down at the end, so that as it's getting dark in here, I can see every single little stitch of this and the reflection of it to make sure that every single stitch of this coaming is completely covered in Cetal. I'm going to do the other one in just a minute. I haven't even started on the other one. They've already had one coat, and I sanded out the first coat, and I'm starting on the second coat. The first, this is the starboard side here, and starboard side is done with the second coat. I'm about to do the second coat on the port side, and I think I'm going to try to set this up and see if I can actually do it, while I'm, do a video while I'm doing this. Anyway, one of the things I will say, if you're going to do this, make sure that you're in a place where you've got enough light to be able to see clearly, even if it's getting dark, clearly that you're covering every single bit of it. And just be real careful. I apply it very liberally. But then, as I finish out the amount that I've put on, I always stroke in the same direction, always up, toward me, as I'm finishing out that bit of it, and then I put on some more. And it doesn't matter whether I'm going back or forward with the brush, but when I finish the stroking, I want it absolutely to lay absolutely even. As it's all coming toward me with the final strokes of the brush. So anyway, I'm going to try to do this, set it up and see if I can actually make this work where you can see me doing it. I've never done that yet, and we'll see how it goes. Bye. You're not going to be able to see these first strokes because I'm too close into the camera probably, but anyway, I don't like doing kind of instructional stuff. I don't mind coming along afterward and talking about it, but I'm not particularly fond of doing it bit by bit, so that people, oh, look at how he's doing that. Although, I've learned a truckload from stuff on YouTube of people doing that very thing. Okay, but see here, I'm going to put another layer on, and I've gotten out far enough to where you can probably see it with the camera. Let me see, get a little bit more on there. Okay, I'm getting this applied, I'm back and forth with it, but then as I get it on there, I'm going to try to get a nice even stroke, get it nice and distributed so it cleanly covers every little stitch of the surface of the ancient teak. When I did this last night, the first layer on it, yesterday, it was pouring rain, and I mean just coming down in buckets outside. And even though my chicken coop is really dry, and I don't have any leaks to speak of, even though it's pretty dry, it was just extremely humid in the air, and I even had a little opening in my window here at the end of the chicken coop for ventilation. But interestingly enough, I came back the next day, last night, after it had been pouring down rain all afternoon. Let me tell you something. This thing, because of how old these coamings are, they had sucked up every single stitch of the Cetal, and they were dry as a bone. That's how starved for. I I guess nutrition. I don't know. That's the only way I know how to put it. That's how starved they were for something of moisture. They were just dried out beyond belief. My best guess is that these are about 1970. That's the earliest registration I've got on Little Girl, and it's got to be at least 1970 or before that this boat was built. So anyway, these Coamings are almost 50 years old, and they really sucked up that first coat of Seatol big time, in spite of just pouring down rain. So I think I'm going to quit now, and with this demo part of this, and because I'm getting pretty far down the line, and we'll pick it up later, do a little more. This is now the this is the back side, as it were. In other words, the side that faces into the side of the boat. As you know, if you're sitting in the cockpit, you wouldn't see this side. This is the side that faces to the outside, and right here, I don't know if you can see this, from right here to right here, this actually has a protrusion up out of the hull where you see like a cubby, all fiberglass cubby that goes, lines up with these holes here. Interestingly, I don't think these were ever treated where those lined up with the cubbies. I don't think there was anything ever put on them when the boat was built. Only where they're exposed to the weather do I think that there was anything on them. So anyway, they're really starved for a little bit of moisture. So I think that's it for now. I'm going to try to see what we can do later to maybe do the third or fourth coat or whatever. Actually, when we go to the other side, we'll maybe do the other sides. Continuing the saga of the Coamings for Little Girl, and now this is my starboard coaming that we're looking at right here. This goes on, obviously, starboard side of the cockpit. Anyway, this is coming out nicely. This is 2 coats. I've got to do 1 more coat on these. I was concerned about the Seatol getting down in the bung holes, and that really has not been a problem. It's so thick. When it goes on, you can pretty much just be really careful, and it doesn't go down in there. Anyway, so that's worked out pretty well. But like I said, the starboard's just about got it's just 1 more coat, and this thing's ready to go back on the boat. In the meantime, port side, not so. I haven't even got 1 coat on this. This is the inside that goes into the cockpit, toward the cockpit on the port side. And ancient-wise, a long time ago, this had a really bad crack. You can see it right here, And what they had done, somebody a long time ago drilled holes diagonally, very carefully, down through the outside, actually the inside wood, down into the bottom of the crack, and put in brass screws and set them very nice. As a matter of fact, you look carefully, you can just see a little bit. I can't. There it is. You see that right there? That's the edge of a brass screw right there. And a long time ago, when they made the initial repair, they took a dowel and drove down in there and I guess glued it in place. And those had long since come out. Here's the deal. I could have easily just gone ahead and Seatoled all those holes, just leave them open like they were. But I decided to kind of backtrack and try to do it the way that whoever did it many years ago, try to do it kind of the way that they did it. I don't know that these will hold, but I went and got, and by the way, the bung holes are all 3/8. That's standard on my boat, 3/8 with stainless steel screws, Phillips head. These screws are not. These are flat screws with, I say flat, as in, slotted instead of Phillips. And they screwed those down in there, and they've been in there for many years, and they're holding nicely. This crack may look not so good, but I'll tell you what, it's solid, it's stable, and I'm leaving it. Rather than mess around with cracking it further, I'm going to leave it like it is. And I backtracked and tried to do what they had done. I took dowels, and these are not 3/8. These drill holes were 5/16. So I had to go trade in my 3/8 dowel for a 5/16. And it's kind of picky business, getting these dowels to taper in and fit the hole that's been drilled for the screw. And anyway, I got these 3 done, this one done, and these 2 are the last 2 to go. They were the shallowest, and I don't know how they're going to come out. But you see what you do? You just kind of cut them off, mark them carefully, cut them off, and let everything set up with the glue for at least an hour or so, until everything gets good and solid. And then I take this sanding block right here, which is blocked with 100 grit, and it does a real good job of taking these of sanding these dowels off. And you have to take some patience. You know, obviously you come in from the top, you know, like this. You come over the surface like that, and be really careful that you not get down into your teak. But you know, I was able to do it. These actually are very smooth, very nicely blended in with the teak. You can barely feel, well, you can feel them, but I mean, you know, like I said, it's part of the history of the wood, and I'm not going to worry about it. After these are all done, I'm going over it with 3 coats of Cetol, and we're going to trust in good old Cetol that it's going to seal everything up and keep these in here for many years to come. Anyway, so that's where we are. As I brought out in the last part of the video, or the first part, I guess it was, I've been working on these silly coamings since February 16th, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to be very glad to get them done and get them back on the boat. Anyway, that's it for tonight. I'm going to let these set up overnight. I got to leave in the morning for a trip over to Maine. So I'm not going to get a chance, unless I get up real early, I may get a chance to do them before I leave. But anyway, that's the story of the coamings for little girl. And 1 more coat over here, 3 coats over here after the bungs are sanded down, and we're ready to go back on the boat. So 4 months and 8 days ago, these ancient coamings began their journey. As I took them off from little girl, through a whole lot of taking out of screws, and brought them here to Vermont and stripped them, which was a major operation, stripped them both sides. And then from the stripping, I went to the cleaning and bleaching process. And from the cleaning and bleaching, I went to the repairing, getting this part of it done up here. This is how it was repaired years ago. This is a really bad crack that was repaired. What can I say? And it's very solid, very stable. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to leave it just like it is. But in order to clean it up, instead of just putting Cetol down in there, I did these special bungs and put them in the way they were originally. There were remnants of the old bungs from when they did this decades ago. So anyway, I got all the repair work done. Everything is all clean, bleached, sanded, just everything done back up, and now finally, after all this time, these now look like real coamings, and really just grateful to have them done. And they're going to get wrapped in blankets very carefully and taken back down to Cape Cod. And I'm going to be proud to put them back aboard Little Girl. And just, you know, there's a lot of work went into these ancient pieces of timber here. And this old teak, it would have cost me well over $1,000 to replace these. And that's just buying the lumber, let alone doing all the work to make sure that all the screw holes were in the right place and everything like that. So, you know what? They're old. And because of their age, they have character to them. And you know what? It doesn't bother me at all that they're not perfect. They show their age, and I love them just like they are. They kind of go appropriately with Little Girl and the age that she's got on her. I'm talking about the boat, not my wife. So anyway, that's it. This is a wrap up on this one. I'm going to put this on top of the rest of the video, and we'll call it quits. Just really glad that
after a whole lot of work, they're ready to go back aboard. Thanks a lot. Thanks for tuning in to Restoring Little Girl, and come back and catch the next episode. Appreciate everybody's tuning in. Thanks. Bye.